welcome to Out of the Box, the podcast. So in this podcast, we're going to be meeting with people across all the creative industries. We're going to be talking music, film, and all things pop culture. This is our first episode of the podcast, and today we're going to look back at 2022, and we're going to look forward at 2023, which is really exciting because it's going to be a big year, hopefully for us.
Yeah, hopefully, man.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We've got lots of things planned. All things podcasts. We've got a lot of work booked in already, so it's an exciting year. It's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah. So before we look at 2023, let's look back at 2022. And I personally don't like reflecting at the end of the year. I find it like strange and stuff, but it probably is important to look where you've been because it helps you kind of see where you're going because where you've grown from. So I guess, what would you say your highlight of 2022 was?
I think we've worked with a lot of really, really cool people this year. Obviously, we've worked with Crawlers a lot again this year, which has been really cool. We've worked with our very first client ever in the studio, which is Jess Louise, when we've had her back in this year. But I do think that the standout jobs for me have been the video jobs with Crawlers, and also in terms of bands, my favourite band I've worked with this year, I think, has got to be Polka, just because we just have a right good laugh. I mean, we have a good laugh with everyone in the, but they're just the boys, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like we've become very, very close, with the band.
I think that's something that I take from this year is that obviously you start as a working relationship. Obviously, the guys from Polka, we know because of this studio, but they've actually turned into like some of our closest friends, which is, you know, the beauty of this space. It's helped us meet new people as well within the industry that we're also in musically. So
yeah, it's great. It's great.
I think for me, like you said, we've done some really cool jobs and stuff and worked with some really cool people. But for me, the live stuff has really stood out this year.
Yeah, the
live shows. So some of the highlights for me was doing the festival weekend with Crawlers, where we did My Chemical Romance and Neighbourhood, and then we did Coventry and stuff. That was really cool. Latham's at Neighbourhood, which was only a few months ago, was really good. So that live stuff, I think, really this year is like, I've found probably one of my favourite types of job. I think it's the style and the pace of it, and the sort of, you only got one chance to get it. I think that's sort of been, I'd probably go with they're my highlights, those live shows.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed doing them as well. It's a little bit different for me, sort of getting out of the studio and getting out and about and releasing me from the dark room that is my studio. So the live stuff is really cool for me as well, because it just allows me to do something a little bit different as well.
I don't know if it's classed as a highlight for you, but I think you definitely moved more into the video world this year. Like, I've sort of had to be like, right, you don't have an option, I need you, and sort of you've really stepped up into that role now of video. So I think the highlight for you could almost be your sort of like moving into that world as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a transition and like sort of cross sort of skilling myself, if that is even a word.
It can be.
Learning, yeah, I mean, I've just created it, so let's go with it. But I think learning how to use the C70, which is our cinema camera, has been a real cool thing for me this year. Being able to get comfortable with that and sort of like shaking off the nerves that I had of first using this big intimidating camera has been really cool, and I've really enjoyed that. Yeah,
that's good.
New Year's resolution, it's 2023. What are we saying?
Again, just like I hate looking back, I hate New Year's resolutions. I hate like the sort of pressure that you sort of force to put on yourself, but at the same time, it's sort of makes you like hold yourself accountable for what you're saying you're gonna do. I've not really thought, and I'm not gonna put too much pressure on it. I'm not like, gonna stop drinking cans of Coke or anything like that. Not
drinking cans of Coke.
Well, Pepsi Mac.
We've made a start though, mate. We've got no caffeine.
There you go. But I guess for me, is just to be like more consistent, and that's like across the board in like everything that I've done. Like, what I've said for like literally 2 years now, a goal of mine has been to start like documenting more of like my life in general personally, and like my professional life. I think it's really cool to like see yourself in different roles and look back at what you've done and stuff. And we're lucky enough to live in like such a digital world, but I feel like when I'm not working, the last thing I want to do is like film myself.
Yeah, it's hard to sometimes just like get the motivation to actually just get your camera out and film, I think. And I feel like already within 2022, I mean, 2023, sorry.
Yeah.
but kind of 2022 because it was our last job of the year was New Year's Eve, and already you've sort of started making those little changes already.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a real good resolution for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can sort of align myself with that as well, just in terms of like consistency and having more of an order to things and things like that, and being more sort of like, not like by the book, but having things that I want to achieve on a day-to-day basis rather than sort of a bit more wide scale, you know what I mean?
I think as a New Year's resolution, it's hard to say something that you will do over a 12-month period. I'd rather say that I will consistently hit smaller goals, like even if they're like tiny goals, like, you know, sometimes, I don't know if you know, I have like a little book every morning I write in, like, and it's just because I found myself struggling to keep track of what I need to do and certain things. So I started to write everything down, and some of the things I write down are like tiny.
Yeah.
But you tick them off and you feel like you've achieved something. So sometimes, like, I've started writing in my book, like, just enjoy watching the football.
Yeah.
On a Saturday afternoon, like, if you can watch the football, not worry about something or worry about tomorrow's, then you've like achieved a small goal. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, you know, enjoy your time, sort of thing. So little things like that, really. I think just keeping that consistency going, I think, will be month to month and day to day and stuff, would be really good.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I guess not really a New Year's resolution, but again, personally, professionally, do you have any like professional goals for this year? Like, you know, a job that you didn't get to do last year that you think, oh, do you know what, if I get to do this year, and then, again, not in a big pressure way, because if you get to the end of the year and you've not done it, like, it's not the end of the world, but, you know, something you'd like to do.
I think I'd like to exploit festival season this summer, I think, is one of my goals, whether that be from a video perspective, a photo perspective, or even an audio perspective. Like, we've got a setup now where we can record live, we can record sort of on the road.
Yeah.
And for that as well, we can record live sets and things like that. We dabbled in it last year, but I feel like that is something I really enjoyed, going back to the live show sort of aspect of things.
Yeah, because we did lots of live sessions, then we sort of had a bit of a break, and then we missed it, and then it sort of came back, and we did loads. But
festival season last year, obviously, we worked with Crawlers quite a bit on the festivals that they played, but I'd like to work with a few more sort of varied bands on the live scene, especially like open air concerts. I think it's really cool, and obviously everyone loves a festival, don't they?
Yeah, I mean that 3 days that I did the like Chemical Romance neighborhood in Coventry, like being part of that atmosphere as well. Yeah, of like doing the Friday night and being like, right, you know, we're meeting back up at 11 and we're driving to Warrington. Then I was like, right, I'll see you in the morning because we're driving to Coventry, and being sort of part of that, I think I did really enjoy that. Yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm looking forward to that this year. What about yourself? Any sort of standout things for you, mate? There's two, and they both align. One is to travel more. Just in general, you know, we've not been able to travel as much over the last few years. Last year, I got to go away to Berlin, like a little city break and stuff. That was all I did for the year, as opposed to previous years where I've tried to get like a city break in every few months and stuff. So just to get away more, and I know you're going away in January and stuff. Like, I already got Krakow booked in February. I'm going to Iceland in May. Yeah. Hopefully do something in summer, just to sort of like be able to take a camera. It's not about taking a camera, but like I want to do it for myself as well, like, and enjoy making videos, and that's the type of video I enjoy making. And then something that I would love to do would be to work abroad this year. That'd be cool. You know, really cool. To get someone call through and say, I'm filming a music video, but I want to do it in Spain. Like, you know, something like that would be really cool. I mean, in any capacity, you know, to photograph a gig in a different country or to film a gig in a different country. I think to travel and work, they're the two things that I'd love to start seeing go hand in hand. Yeah, so Lollapalooza, if you're listening. Yep. To Out of the Box podcast, episode 1. Get us on it. Festival in California called? Like the most famous festival in the world? There's not Coachella. Yeah. Go Coachella. I know. That'd be a nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be alright. Being able to get your shorts on and your vest top, getting you with your. I don't know where to put all my things with no pockets in shorts. I need a big cargo pants with all my things in it. But yeah, like going back to the whole traveling thing and being able to take a camera, we've got that new Fujifilm
X100V, is it?
Yeah.
Which I'm really looking forward to using this year as more of a sort of a leisure camera.
Yeah.
Because the aspects of the sort of film emulations and stuff it's really what I'm into, and I'm looking forward to sort of exploring that a little bit more and creating more of a not like a influencery Instagram, because that's not the sort of lines I want to sort of go down, but more of like a uniformed Instagram and stuff, and just a document so that in, say, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years time, I can look back and think, oh, that was what I did that year. Because that's one thing I've not been the best at this year in terms of like 2022 is documenting things when I've been away and things like that. And when I look back through my Instagram as like a personal reflection, there's not much there other than stuff in the studio that I can look at and think, oh, that's what I've done that year.
Yeah.
So
to be fair, that is what that camera's for. I've enjoyed having it since we've bought it, but I feel like we've not done anything yet that it's bought for. So we've used it in the studio and stuff, and we've like used it at like parties and stuff, and like it to me feels like a lifestyle camera. We had a session in here tonight and we're taking a few photos on it and stuff, and I don't feel like that's what it's for.
Yeah.
But the thought of like taking it to Krakow and having it just dead small here, ready to like snap away, like on your person just at all times and stuff, I think that's what it's for. And like travel and lifestyle. I think when you go away in January as well, I think that's when you really will be like, right, I'm glad we bought this camera.
I'm really excited to use it.
So I guess what we haven't covered is, you know, what this podcast is for, who it's for, our sort of reasons for starting it. Do you think there's any reason why you wanted to start this podcast?
I think, I personally have been listening to a lot of podcasts over the past sort of 5 or 6 months and really enjoyed them. And I don't know, like, I feel like we have an interesting job.
Yeah.
So to be able to like speak about it and reflect upon it with each other, we're so caught up in work sometimes that we don't actually get to sit down and just have a catch up.
Yeah,
obviously it's quite an interesting industry that we're in, so it'll be nice to sit down every now and then and have a catch up, a designated time, and we can stick a couple of mics up, record it, and it's just interesting, and we've met a lot of interesting people along the way as well. So
I think that's one of the reasons why like I brought this idea round to you again a couple of months, because we've tried this in the past and sort of barely got past, you know, the first couple of episodes and stuff, because we've not really thought about what the podcast is, whereas this time I think we know what this podcast is and who it's for. But you're right, we sort of like, you know, you're in the studio and sometimes I'll come in, I'll grab my camera again and I'll say, right, you know, enjoy your day, like,
flying visits.
I've got to go and stuff, and you know, with our schedules and stuff, we spend the most time catching up on text or whatever. But you are right, we don't really converse. So having this is just like, we would just do this anyway.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like an excuse to sort of, you know, chat and talk about what we're up to and stuff, and hopefully if people find it interesting, hopefully episodes people will find educational. I know we've got some people lined up to come on that, you know, I've met and was really inspired by when I met them the first time and stuff.
100%.
And hopefully that can, you know, translate well across the podcast. So, you know, this podcast in my eyes is for creative people. Like the people we've got lined up, it's quite a vast, but they all fall within that bubble.
Yeah.
That like creative, like the art bubble and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to the sort of conversations we're going to have with these people. So, you know, it's a good thing to look forward to.
Ollie's already thinking about other people. I'm boring him already. It's only episode 1.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm just going to replace you every episode. You're the guest this episode.
I'm the guest.
I suppose that leads me on to what I was going to say next, because you obviously said you listened to a lot of podcasts this year, and I was going to ask you your sort of 2022 year of like favourites.
Yeah.
Things that stand out for you of the year. So my first one was we'll start on podcast. What's your favourite podcast of the year?
So my favourite podcast this year is actually an old podcast which I've revisited and listened to thoroughly, and it's the Ricky Gervais Show. I'm just obsessed. It's just, I listen to it in the car on long journeys, short journeys. I'll be nipping to Asda, picking up my shopping, and I'll put it on. I listen to it before bed. I put it on as I'm sleeping. It's just become like a bit of an addiction.
Yeah, it is a class podcast. And the funny ththing is, it stands the test of time because it's still funny.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, like 2000?
They were talking.
4.
Yeah, 2004 I think was the first one, and I've got through all of them, and I remember listening to one the other day, and it was when the World Cup was on, and I got round to the World Cup podcast, but the podcast was World Cup 2006.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is like probably the first actual World Cup I remember watching.
Yeah.
Like consciously.
Yeah, and the longevity of that is so funny.
It's just hilarious. Carl Pilkington is an absolute gem, isn't he? Like,
I mean, the things they've gone on to do. I mean, like Ricky Gervais has just stayed in that world so well. I mean, Stephen Merchant. They went after that when that podcast was on, like simultaneously they were right in the office. So all those things have like really stood that longevity of time. They're still funny.
Yeah,
which is like important.
They're great. What about you, mate? What podcasts? I know you've been listening to podcasts as well. So
yeah, my favorite podcast of the year is probably quite a small podcast, but there's two YouTubers called Colin and Samir, and over the last year they've really grown. But their whole brand is based around like the creator economy in YouTube. So their videos, and they have like a newsletter that goes out like 3 times a week, and their whole like brand is just based around what's happening on YouTube. It feels like the news for YouTube.
Yeah.
So like a good example, when KSI and Logan Paul released Prime, they did a podcast about like, could he be the first? Could they sell it in 5 years' time for $10 billion? Like, or something will happen with Mr. Beast. He did his Squid Game video, and it's like the story behind it. And they've gone to like different creators' lives. So like they went to North Carolina to see Mr. Beast, and they spent like a day with him. And it's like fantastic videos that are like almost like documentaries, but within this like modern creator economy. It's just really interesting to see, and like see how this new industry of being a YouTuber works, because that's what they sort of like report on, and it's like really honest as well. It's not they'll go and see someone and then be dead polite about what they just honest about what they've, not rude, but they're honest about where they think they're going, where they think they're growing, and where they think they'll go. And it's just really, really, I've never seen anything like it before in terms of like that sort of YouTube channel. It's really cool.
That's cool. Sounds interesting, man. It's definitely on my. Obviously, you've told me to go and listen to it, and it's definitely on my list. Now that I've finished.
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah, twice.
Sure. Twice.
Right then, favorite film.
This is a really hard question, I feel like, because I look back at the films this year, and there's been quite a few good ones, and I've recently watched Avatar, which was amazing. But I think my standout has got to be, and I think we're on the same wavelength here.
At the same time.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think my favourite film is 3, 2, 1, Top Gun. Yeah, there we go.
For me, you said it's a hard question. That was the easiest question on this list. It's the best cinema experience I've had in years.
Yeah.
Literally years. I said when we went to watch it, we came out and said the best thing about it was there was so many things in that film where I was like, how have they done that?
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time that I went to the cinema, I didn't say, someone said to me, oh, how have they done that? Oh, it's just like shit CGI.
Yeah.
It was like, how have they done that? And I got myself home, I was like, all the behind the scenes, all the interviews, all the press.
It's definitely one of those films where you want to like, you leave the cinema and you want to go and like search about it. It really captured that sort of.
It was a perfect blend of like cheese, nostalgia, like insane like cinematography and camera work and stunts. It was just, and I don't even like that kind of film really.
Yeah,
but it was just.
I've not even seen the original one.
Have you not?
I've not even seen the original Top Gun, and it's
better than the original Top Gun.
Yeah, and it's sort of just. I mean, I liked it so much. You just sort of catch on what happens. Yeah. You don't really need to have watched it. I don't think you need to. That's probably the beauty.
It's probably why it did so well as well. Yeah. Not everyone's seen Top Gun.
But yeah.
Yeah. Right. Next one. TV show, by far for me, I say by far, there's been quite a few as well, but by far for me, it's got to be Stranger Things. Yeah, it did smash it. There's been some great TV shows this year, but
Stranger Things is just like, it is and always has been, always probably will be, is just my vibe to a T.
Yeah.
It's just like the nostalgia, the same sort of vibes as what you came out of the cinema of watching Top Gun, like the nostalgia of like the whole sort of 80s vibe. And now that the kids are growing up, it's like you followed it from them day one. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just become an obsession of mine again. Like I'm just obsessed with Stranger Things and all things Stranger Things.
I did enjoy it. When it ended, though, I did feel that way. I did actually say, when that season ended, that I think that's one of the best things I've ever watched.
Yeah, you did.
I did say that to you. So I think, but one of my favourites, I guess, like a honourable mention. And I had to Google when this was because I couldn't remember it was. But it was January 2022 was when they brought Peacemaker out, and you've still not watched that, have you?
I've watched 2 episodes, and obviously you've got to give everything a chance. But from the 2 episodes I watched, it was just one of those things where I just could not get into it.
Yeah, I just loved it. And then obviously another honourable mention was Wednesday for me in November. It's only just been. That was another show where I just thought it was just perfect. Like in terms of like casting and like the visual of it, I just thought it was so strong. Like Netflix just don't seem to miss when it comes to like things like that.
Netflix originals are where it's at.
Yeah, and like Dharma as well is one of my favourite programs I've watched this year.
Yeah,
bit of a different one, but again, there's been some great TV.
Really has. So I'm going to ask you one now. So how about your favourite song of the year that's come out?
So I'm going to cheat and go down the list because I know the album's going to come up as well. Because my favourite song is from a favourite album.
Yeah.
Are you going to know?
Don't know. No, I don't think so.
And this is a bit of a... my favourite album this year was Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah. I can totally sort of stand by you with that one.
And like it was always one of those where I wasn't going to hide that I was excited for the new Harry Styles album because I was. And then it came out and I was like, right, okay, like it's strong. And then lucky got to see him this year in Coventry at that weekend. So that sort of helped the reason why, because that was in May and his album came out early May. So I'd like 2 weeks listening to the album thinking, oh, this is great, I'm really enjoying it. And then you know what it's like when you go and see someone live. It just
it's
like,
different, isn't it?
It just like put it way up in my estimations after seeing it live, and then after that, just listen to it through. And there's a couple of songs on that album that I'd probably put as my favourite song of the year as well.
Yeah,
I think so.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. I think many other people across the country would probably agree with you on that one. However, I don't. I'm going to say that my favourite album. I feel like saying your favourite song is really. I know I asked the question, but it's such a hard question to ask, and you've not really answered it there. You wormed your way around it.
Yeah, go on, you can do the same.
So my favourite album of this year is Uncanny Valley by Coin. I'm going to go with.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
It's just been one of those albums where I've put on in the car when I've not been listening to the Ricky Gervais show and just really, really enjoyed. And it's one of them where, because I've been just press play and listened to it from start to finish, it's a vinyl album in my opinion. Like it's something that you'd have on vinyl and listen to from start to finish. I couldn't even tell you some of the names of the songs. Yeah,
the funny thing you say that is because and again it's the same with Harry Styles, I imagine when you went to see them it helped.
Yeah.
And that show was so good. When we went to see them I tried to get their vinyl and it was sold out.
Yeah.
And it came back on for Christmas. And I've listened to that album a lot as well, but I don't think I could tell you a song off it.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? It's like I mean, some people would argue this is a whole new kettle of fish now, but some people would argue that the album is a dying trade.
Yeah.
However, for the resurgence of vinyl and stuff like that is definitely up there in a list of albums that I'd say has been one that I've listened from start to finish, and it's just been great.
So, well, can't really argue with that.
No.
So I've got a bit of a different one for you. So of last year, what was your favourite social media platform?
There's been some times where my answer would change this year. Like Instagram's always been like my favourite platform for everything. Like,
Instagram?
Yeah, for scrolling, but TikTok again this year has been for scrolling and stuff is you get some goldies on there, don't you? But I think definitely the winner for that for me. And if my screen time was working, it would tell you that I'd spent most time on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Well, my list then was the longest I spent on any platform was TikTok.
Yeah.
And the next was Instagram. But my favourite platform, and it always has been, will always be Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've never ever ever been a Twitter user.
It's one thing I don't even like open it.
But I just consume it.
Other than to illegally stream football when it's not on Sky Sports.
I just use it as like borderline news.
Yeah.
It feels much more relevant than putting the TV on.
I think that wraps us up for the end of the podcast. We're coming up to time, so
we've got some, good things to look forward to for the future of this podcast. Obviously, we've already got quite a few people lined up with dates booked in and stuff. We've got a few of these going to come up in the next few weeks that we're going to do just the two of us, and then we're going to start getting people on and sort of hear their stories. And like we said before, the people that we've met before, they've been really inspiring. It's exciting to talk to them in a bit of a different setting, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
I'm really excited for that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But sweet, yeah. So thank you everyone for tuning in for episode 1. Obviously, like we say, we're hopefully going to be doing this on a quite a regular basis. So we look forward to watching our little not client base, our what do you call it? Listener base.
Friends.
Well, we can have some friends. Maybe Ollie wants some friends. So if you're after a friendship, then give your boy a holler. This has been Out of the Box. We are Matchbox Productions. I am Joe.
I'm Ollie.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.